47 minutes. That's all the time I have left. Again, the facility's emergency lights paint everything crimson, and somewhere beneath my feet, the Kronos engine is tearing a hole in space-time itself. My name is Dr. Sarah Chen, and I've lived this hour 362 times. But this time I finally understand. I'm not trying to save the world. I'm the one destroying it. Let me start at the beginning, or what I thought was the beginning. March 15th, 2087. The day that would never end. I arrived at the Temporal Dynamics Institute at 7:30 a.m., just like always. The building was a masterpiece of neo-brutalist architecture, all sharp angles and smart glass that adjusted its opacity based on the sun's position. Inside, the air hummed with the quiet power of quantum processors working at temperatures near absolute zero. The Kronos engine. 5 years of my life poured into its construction. A perfect sphere of exotic matter suspended in electromagnetic fields, surrounded by concentric rings of superconducting magnets. It looked like something from a dream or a nightmare. Today was the day we'd prove time travel wasn't just theoretical. My research partner, Dr. James Morrison, was already there, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces that only he could see through his neural implant. Sarah, the quantum entanglement is holding stable. We're ready for the first test. I should have noticed the tremor in his voice, the way his eyes wouldn't quite meet mine, but I was too excited, too blind to anything except the promise of rewriting physics itself. Beginning initialization sequence, I said, my words steady despite my racing heart. All safety protocols engaged. Temporal displacement target, -10 seconds. The engine began to spin, not physically, you couldn't see it move, but every instrument screamed that reality itself was rotating around that sphere of impossible matter. The temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees in 3 seconds. Frost crystallized on the observation windows. Power levels exceeding projections, James called out. Sarah, we need to abort. But I couldn't. I was so close to proving that time wasn't a river flowing in one direction, but an ocean we could navigate. Then everything went white. I woke up at my desk. 7:30 a.m. March 15th, 2087. The same morning, the same sunlight, the same coffee, still hot, still untouched. At first I thought it was déjà vu, some trick of memory brought on by stress. But when James said the exact same words, Sarah, the quantum entanglement is holding stable. We're ready for the first test. I knew. I was in a loop. That second time through, I tried to stop the test. I initiated emergency shutdown protocols, pulled the physical breakers, even smashed one of the control panels with a fire extinguisher. But the engine activated anyway, as if my actions were irrelevant, as if the universe had already decided what would happen. White light, reset, 7:30 a.m. By the 10th loop, I was keeping detailed notes. By the 50th, I'd memorized every possible variable. By the 100th, I was going insane. You have to understand, when you're trapped in time, when every action leads to the same result, you start to lose your grip on what's real. I knew James would betray me. I knew the engine would overload. I knew that exactly 47 minutes after I woke up, reality would tear itself apart and reset everything. But I didn't know why. Loop 214. I stopped trying to prevent the disaster. Instead, I started investigating. Who built the engine? Really built it? The official record said it was my design, my research. But in loop 193, I found something strange. A fragment of code in the engine's operating system that I didn't write. It took me 30 more loops to crack the encryption. When I did, the truth hit me like a physical blow. The Kronos engine wasn't built to explore the past. It was built to change the future. A future where humanity had destroyed itself through quantum weapons, nanotech plagues, and AI wars that reduced Earth to a radioactive wasteland. In that timeline, the original timeline, I had survived, just barely, just long enough to build a desperate machine with one purpose: go back and prevent it all. I was trying to save the world, and I'd succeeded, almost. The disaster I'd been trying to prevent for 362 loops, it wasn't a malfunction, it was the mechanism. The engine was supposed to create a temporal loop, trapping this day in amber, preventing the future from ever happening. A perfect prison of time where humanity would be safe because humanity would never move forward. But something went wrong. The loop was unstable. Each reset weakened the quantum barriers between timelines. And after enough iterations, after enough loops, those barriers would collapse entirely. Not into the apocalyptic future I'd fled from, into something worse, into a cascade failure that would erase every version of reality, past, present, and future, all collapsing into quantum noise. Oblivion for every human who had ever existed or ever would exist. And it was my fault. Loop 362, 12 minutes left. I stood before the engine, my creation, my curse, and made my choice. There was one way to stop it, one way to break the loop and prevent the cascade. The engine needed a massive amount of quantum-entangled information to maintain the temporal field. It was using my consciousness as an anchor. My memories, my decisions, my existence spread across 362 iterations of the same hour. If I removed that anchor, the loop would collapse. Not into oblivion, but into a single, stable timeline. The original timeline. The apocalyptic future I'd been so desperate to escape. I would doom humanity to the very fate I'd tried so hard to prevent. Wars, plague, extinction, all of it inevitable and unstoppable. But at least they would exist. At least those people would have a chance, however slim, to choose differently, to be better than I had been. "James," I said, turning to face him one last time. In this loop, knowing what I knew, I could see the guilt written on his face. He wasn't my betrayer. He was my collaborator. He'd helped me build this prison, believing we were saving the world. I need you to override the safety protocols. Sarah, what are you? Trust me. For once, just trust me. He did. Maybe he sensed this loop was different. Maybe some version of him across all those iterations remembered. His neural implant flashed as he executed commands I'd spent 100 loops figuring out. The engine's spin began to slow. To break a time loop, you have to break the pattern. And I was the pattern. I stepped into the temporal field. The sensation was beyond description, like being everywhere and nowhere. Every moment and no moment. I could see them all, 362 versions of myself, all making different choices, all leading to the same end. And behind them, the original Sarah, the woman who'd survived hell and decided to trap the world rather than let it burn. I understood her now. The desperation, the arrogance, the belief that she alone could choose for all of humanity. "I'm sorry," I whispered to her, to myself, "but they deserve the chance we took from them." The engine's frequency shifted. The quantum entanglement connecting me to every loop began to unravel. I could feel myself dissolving, not into nothing, but into everything, my consciousness spreading across space-time like ink in water. And then I saw it, the moment where everything had gone wrong in the original timeline. Not a war, not a weapon, a single decision by a single person who chose fear over hope, security over freedom, control over trust. Me. It had always been me. The wars, the plagues, the extinction, they all traced back to this moment, to the Chronos engine, to my choice to lock humanity in an eternal present rather than risk an uncertain future. The apocalyptic timeline wasn't what I was preventing. It was what I had caused by trying to prevent it. A paradox so perfect, so complete, that it had almost destroyed everything. But now I could fix it, not by controlling time, by letting it go. I woke up at my desk. 7:30 a.m., March 15th, 2087. But it was different. The Chronos engine wasn't there. In its place, a simple plaque. Project Chronos. Discontinued by order of Dr. Sarah Chen. Some futures are worth the risk. I didn't remember writing that order, but I knew I had. Some version of me in some version of this timeline had made a different choice, had chosen to trust humanity's future to humanity itself. The memories of the loops were fading already. Like dreams upon waking, they slipped away even as I tried to hold them. Soon, I would forget them entirely, but a feeling remained. A bone-deep certainty that I had been given a second chance, that we all had. My phone buzzed. A message from James. "Coffee? I have an idea for a new project. Clean energy, not time travel. Promise." I smiled. For the first time in 362 loops, or maybe for the first time in this single, precious, irreplaceable moment, I smiled. "On my way," I typed back. The future was uncertain, dangerous even. full of risks and mistakes and consequences I couldn't predict or control. And that was exactly as it should be, because a future worth having isn't one we lock away in perfect safety. It's one we build together, one imperfect choice at a time, trusting that the next generation will do better than we did, that they'll choose hope when we might have chosen fear, that they'll see possibilities where we saw only dangers. Time moves forward. It's the only direction it should ever go. And now, finally, I was moving with it. My name is Dr. Sarah Chen, and today is the first day of the rest of time.